Well, check it out, everybody. Inspirational podcasts are back for another year. Season 7, episode number 1 of the Kathmandu Coast to Coast podcast. Richard Greer joining me as a winner of the 2025 Kathmandu Coast to Coast.
Didn't take you long to get that in.
You may ask, how long can we ride that curtail? Well, I say we've still got till the very, very start of day number 1 of the 2026 Kathmandu Coast to Coast, Richard.
Okay, so even until it finishes, does that mean you're still reigning champion? So you probably go deep into day 2 if you wanted to.
No, you're never allowed to wear your national champs jersey or world champs jersey on the day of the actual race. So you are national champ or whatever until that day. So we'll
take it off at midnight.
Look, registration, that last final dinner that we have together as Team CP, that will be the day that
you bring your trophy.
We've just got to have a small pause before we hold the candle again, really, to be fair.
Very good. How many autographs have you given out over the last sort of 6 weeks?
You've had to go to an electronic signature, mate. Mr. Bick was sort of starting to send, having to send boxes. So I've gone to a electronic signature now, mate. Just so makes it a whole lot easier to get it out.
Yeah, okay. And babies, foreheads kissed, sort of what have you done? Media duties?
Yeah, you got to be careful around that whole baby's foreheading, kissing, mate. What podcast are we on here again? We are here for the Kathmandu Coast to Coast, of course. But what about you, Richard? It's been a little minute. Like it's April. We've lost a month or two since we did run the sand together. You've been all good?
Yeah, no, but going well. It's quite funny, isn't it, to talk about the 2026 Coast to Coast now. We're sort of only just trying to decide whether we're in 2025. But yeah, still reflect on a really good couple of days. It's good. I'm fizzing to be back talking about the Coast to Coast because it's just a great fun thing to do. And we've been up and underway. I guess reviewing people that have done it last year and planning for next year, playing with who's got entries, who hasn't got entries, all that sort of stuff. So, it's an exciting time of the year. Lots of change and lots of adjustments and lots of sort of learning and excitement going on at this stage from a coaching perspective.
Lots of chitter chatter out there still. There's been lots of great events going on out there in the community. It's been that time of the year where all the other events happen as well. And I've been to a couple, and it's been cool to roll up and just catch up with people that were at the coast because everybody, shares a few of those races across the board. So lots of good chat. And it must have almost been an omen that we were recording tonight. I followed home a kayak on the roof of a car tonight, and I thought, well, there you go. Look at that. We're going to record something about the coast to coast today, and here's somebody out there already doing it. Yeah,
that's right. I'm driving down Old West Coast on the way into town. There's a couple of kayaks en route on the weekend. We were heading into town on the weekend. So, yeah, it's definitely happening, which is great because this is, as we record this, we're in April. This is a really good time of the year in New Zealand to be able to get out there and learn some skills. The weather's pretty stable generally. So, get out and make the most of that. So it's really good to see people taking the chances to go and learn why the weather's good before winter sets in proper.
Yeah. Before we just get into maybe some entry talk and a few other things and whatnot, what have we got to kick off season 7, episode 1 tonight, Rich?
Yeah, well, we're going to talk to Richie Owen. So he's kind of, we haven't had Richie on the podcast before, but he's the man that actually gets stuff done, I would say. We'll have a bit of a chat to him. So he's the operations manager of the Coast to Coast, about his role, and also going to have a chat to him about all the fundraising that goes on behind the scenes, all those coffees and bacon buddies that you buy, where that money ends up going to support local charities and local community fundraisers over the weekend. We're also going to talk to Annabel Morris. So she's a first-time Coast to Coast who just finished it just recently, and about her experience of what it was like standing on the start line, what it was like preparing, and how her day unfolded. So have a good chat to her, what she learned, what some learnings to pass on to others that are doing the same thing. And then also we're going to wrap up the show with Bob MacLachlan, Kayak Bob, they call him. We're going to talk paddling and how to learn and how to develop your paddling. Bob's a kayak instructor based in Wanaka, who's actually also finished on the podium of the longest day. So he's an adventurer. He's a down to earth, good buggy, you would call him, and he knows his stuff in regards to paddling.
He's seen a braid or two in his time, hasn't he?
I'd say so. And rapid, quite big ones as well. Loves it. Yeah. So well worth a listen in terms of hanging around to wait to the chat with Bob.
How good. And, of course, don't forget to hang around for a bit of pre-chat a bit in between chat from you and I. Hey, mate, entries have been released to the 2026 Kathmandu Coast to Coast. How did we go there?
How did we go, as in you and I?
How did we go? Did we get an entry?
Yeah, on the start line, Angus. And my next question to you is, training-wise, like, are you going to just ride off the coattails of last year, or are you going to be motivated to do more?
Well, it was a pretty successful training campaign that I did put in, I'd say. Like
of 10 days, like 2 weeks before.
Hard to knock it. It is hard to knock it. It's probably a little unconventional, but all the same, when you've got two bloody other good athletes to carry you, it's sort of not really that real. I could have had trainer wheels on my bike, and we probably still would have ended up with the same result. Along the way.
I don't know. The whites in your eyes, the fear.
I'm actually a little bit fizz because I know that our entry that we've actually managed to secure and to defend our 3-person 2-day team, and of course probably the most important part was the first tracks up the sand. Really, that was probably one of the most important parts of the weekend. We have actually look, people, you're going to hear this here first, but we've subbed Richard out. He's gone. He's been cut. The team. We had a little vote internally. Went right. Who let the side down here? Where can we make improvements? Angus, you came in that first bunch on day one. There's probably not a lot more you could do there, mate. Your ride home was probably one of the strongest of anybody on the way home, mate. You were pretty good there, Angus. Good job, Tick. Toby, old mate, Toby. Well, actually, not much you can argue about there, mate. He was the fastest man down the river. Uncle Rich,
Uncle or Granddad. Yeah, I think I realised at the time that I'm probably a multi-sporter pretending to run, opposed to an actual runner, as I got passed by people that were just flying by. So I understand. We'll debrief this further as the podcast.
This is heartbreaking, Rick. It's not the end of your career, though. Like, let's be honest. We don't talk about that now. We won't talk about that. It's not the end of your career, but
it's a highlight of my career. We'll just leave it there, shall we?
It's good. That's great. Some good. Like, if
thanks for sharing.
You can be inspired. I tell you what, everybody will still be inspired by what comes next for you, Richard.
Okay. Thank you. Very good. I think we should roll on.
I've never seen someone peel oranges like you can peel oranges, mate.
I'm very good at peeling oranges. Don't you worry about that. Yeah, you just want that shoulder massage, have a bit more vigor in it this year. Those calf massage. Last year was a bit weak, wasn't it? After I was a bit tired. So I understand what you're trying to do there. Yeah, nice work. So tonight, TV royalty, Richie Owen from shows such as Mount Hutt Rescue, and potentially also the 2006 blockbuster Kenny as well. Would that be? What do you reckon, Angus?
It's actually Snow Patrol they're calling it this year. I see they've just had a big release in Methven just recently. Like Richie Owen, you may have seen him in such things like, say, as Snow Patrol, or even at Transition at Aitkins Corner picking bikes up out of the rack, all those sort of things. Richie Owen, he's a guy that's so tough. His rice bubbles don't go snap, crackle, pop, mate. They go, here he comes. We should have done this a long, long time ago. We've had so much banter from this guy in the background at every podcast we record. We're guaranteed some gold times throughout the weekend of the Coast to Coast. Richie Owen, it's an absolute pleasure to finally bring you to the top stage.
Being graced with this royalty is unbelievable. Winners, champions like yourself. It's an absolute pleasure, gentlemen.
Thanks
for having me.
Yeah, you're a champion though, Richie. You allow us to be able to achieve, and all those to achieve what we do. Without you, would be nothing.
Well, without the team, guys, like we're a pretty good team, and I guess that's what the Coast is. We're an amazing bunch of crew that just come back every year, put in the hard yards, and get the event done. So it's I think we all do it for the love of the team. It's a special team, and seeing you guys, seeing you guys win, that's definitely a highlight for us as well.
Well, I'm pleased you did see us win, because the boss Glenn did not see us win, and we're pretty disappointed about that. But looking for that handshake, but.
We reminded him. We let him know. He knew.
Yeah, that's what happens when you go so fast. It's not your fault. Understand. Richie, we've given you a bit of an intro, but tell us a bit from your perspective. Give us a bit of background. What's your role with the Coast to Coast, and where have you come from to sort of be part of the crew?
Yeah, cool. So obviously I grew up in Methven. That's where I'm from, and my role within the coast is operations manager. So yeah, I got involved. Probably my first involvement in the coast was teaming with Glenn and Braden. So back, I can't remember how long ago. It was a much younger looking Glenn Curry, much fitter looking Glenn Curry, that's for sure. And I was on his team as one of his crew. So that's kind of where Coast started for me. My role, when I left school, studied PE a little bit, did a bunch of different stuff in gyms around the country, but really got involved in the ski industry. Events is what I do up at Mount Hart, and so that sort of segued quite nicely into me working with Coast to Coast. Glenn approached me a few years into his reign and asked if I wanted to come on board, and that's sort of all where it started. Pretty exciting, to be honest. Still exciting. You know, I think I'm 7 years deep now, but it's still an exciting event to be part of. The banter, like I say, like you said before, Angus, just chipping away with you boys in the background, all of that stuff from Aiken's Corner through to Klondike, the vibe, everything about the whole event's pretty exciting to be a part of. Race week is awesome. It's great fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
I do. Back in the day when Braden was racing, I think the videos are still on the Coast website around transitions and things. I actually interviewed you as part of that, and we talked about your bum bag as part of that, like your tool belt is going on.
Yeah.
Do you have a tool belt still as part of the operations manager of the Coast to Coast? And if so, what's in it?
No, I don't. That fanny pack, I called it actually. Has long gone. Yeah,
he's now at that point where he has other people around him to carry his stuff for him, you know.
Yeah, I wish. No, we're a pretty small team. I mean, honestly, there's myself, Gemma, and Glenn. We chip away at this all year, and we're lucky enough, like I said before, to have an amazing transition crew that come back every year for I don't know why half the time they come back. They love being part of the Coast just as much as probably the athletes do, and that's what makes this event pretty special. But no tool belts, boys. I don't. The only tools I really have in my fanny pack now is portaloos.
So talk us about one of 2006 blockbuster Kenny. I've got a couple of images here.
Kenny,
throwing up on the screen. There we go. Maybe that one's more like you, sort of, head and hands. Tell us about like your performance this year in 2025. How was the portaloo performance? How'd it go?
Oh, I think good. Less complaints this year. That's a good thing. I think you've never got enough for that half-hour period where everyone's busting. There's always never enough, but then there's always too many later on. So a real tough balance. We actually employed a gentleman called Kenny at Klondike this year, and he had his little sucker machine, which he went around and kept the toilets nice and clean for us. So, I mean, all jokes aside, it is something that's really important to try and get right, is get the balance right and make sure you've got enough toilets on site, because there's nothing worse than waiting pre-race or post-race for to need to go to the toilet. So it's definitely one of my biggest challenges. That and probably the traffic management plan. That's another part of what I do operations wise. So that's there's always challenges in that, especially with today's And we had a little challenge this year, as I think everybody knew, heading over there, which was interesting. Nothing to do with our traffic team, which was unfortunate. It was another traffic management team decided to put a e-stop on just timer, and it just didn't work.
Just tell us quickly about that. So watching this for the first time, but those that were involved in the event.
Yeah, so basically what happened was, on your way heading from east to west, I think just outside of Arthur's Pass, there's a one-lane bridge which is getting widened, and a traffic management team had made the decision just to set up an automatic e-stop during that period. It was a holiday. It was Thursday. It was Waitangi Day. So they made the decision just to put an e-stop there and have it automatic, no people on. Consequently, we were getting calls from people saying the traffic was backed up. We were straight on to ringing the traffic management team, said, "Hey guys, what's going on? You knew that it's coast to coast today. There's going to be lots of people." They were like, "Yeah, we had people there. Unfortunately, they disappeared." At that point, we had no other thing to do, but we managed to get hold of our traffic management team. He shot up there, got hold of the lights. By that time, the lights had actually gone flat. so they weren't even working at all. And so he got in there, got the signs working, and cleared some traffic. So, yeah, a funny way to start. We didn't actually have to push race brief back. I think it was only 5 or 10 minutes in the end, which was pretty good. So, a good result. But it was definitely some people were a little bit panicky getting over here, and so. Yeah, sorry about that. Anybody that's listening?
Yeah. That's all part of the event, is it?
That's it. It is
figuring it out. The stuff that doesn't always go to plan that you can't figure out until
especially for transition crews. I feel for you. You know, sometimes it's just a hurry up and a rush to wait. Right, we're going to get to this place. You get to this place, and then you got to wait around for 5 hours, or like there's always that anxiety as a transition crew to get somewhere. We've got to be there. You always think you're going to miss your athlete, and you get there and you're waiting 5 hours. And okay, so we have another coffee. Should we use the portaloos?
Well, I just want to quickly flush back to the
flashback.
Yes, you see what I did there? It was quite good, I thought. But at the finish line at New Brighton Beach this year, I don't know, it was probably getting into evening a little bit later in the afternoon. And I went to use the portaloos that were out the back of the finish line of the car park, out the back there. Going, and I get in the portaloo, and I'm in the portaloo. Next thing, there's this bang, 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 bang on the door, and I got no idea what's going on, but I don't really say or acknowledge it. I just carry on doing what I was doing. And I get out, and I thought, well, not to be outdone here a little bit, I quietly just went and leant on the door on the one next to me. Next minute, there's somebody trying to get out the door. They quietly just go, and the door won't open. So there's a bit more force, and the door won't open, and I'm still not saying anything. And finally, I let the pressure off, and the door opens, and I'm pleasantly surprised, because I actually still at this stage did have no idea who it was that was in there. And one Mr. Kenny himself came out the door. I was so pleased that I'd taken a bit of a guess who it was. And
I was so gutted that I thought, how did he figure out it was me? And then turn that around on me and lock me into one of the portaloos.
It was actually a pure little bit of brilliance there.
They're really clean, those ones. If you're going to be locked into a portaloo, that's the one you want to be locked into.
He was caught short then, I tell you.
Very vulnerable. Well done. That's awesome. Yeah. Tell us about the different groups that fundraise for the Coast to Coast, because that's part of sort of your role as well, Richie. Probably
something that was a huge surprise to me when I came on board was how many groups actually benefit, how many groups are involved in the Coast, and how it all works. I've got a list here. I'll endeavour to try and name as many as I can, but let's just start from Kamara. So we have Kamara Friends of School, Kamara Residents Trust, Kamara Racecourse, Lake Brunner School, Sheffield and Springfield Schools, Melbourne and Oxford Lions, New Brighton Lions, Marion College, Middleton Grange. I'm sure I've forgotten some, but that's just a handful of the groups that are involved throughout every single transition, providing food, providing car parking, providing, everything that you can think of, from the bag packing when Gemma, works really hard on getting registration organised and all the bag packing, through to helping out with the bike retrieval, through to just everything. And every single one of those groups, does it as volunteers. The money goes back to the schools or to the Lions groups and whatnot, and goes on and helps the community. So I don't know the exact figure, and I'll throw it out there, but there's been a lot of talk about the exact number of monetary gain that a lot of our groups within the Coast get. I'm not going to throw a figure out there. I just can't really remember what we sort of estimate it is, but it's a big number, and it's really cool that the Coast still contributes back to those communities. It's something that blew my mind when we started. I guess, if you wanted to try and make some money, that would be a way you could make money out of the event, but it's just not in that ethos. It's not what we're about. It's just about making sure the community still gets something out of it. Aikens is a classic. You've got Lake Brunner School. They have a fundraising group. They come down there and they make whiteback patties, bacon buddies, coffee ladies there. They contribute. Every single coffee contributes a 50-cent contribution back to Lake Brunner School. It's all pretty cool how it all works. So,
good job.
Yeah.
We're about 10 months away currently as we record this.
I know.
It's not 12 months anymore. It's probably not 11. But so from your perspective, what advice would you give a first timer from here on in?
Well, I think my best advice is a couch coast is going to hurt a lot more than one that you actually prep for. And I'm looking directly at you, Angus. Yeah. I don't know. I think every year, I think more kayaking, get into your grade 2 early as possible. And I think the more training you can get done out on course, the more it's going to benefit your race, you know. I don't think I'd be lying and saying it's not going to hurt. It's still going to hurt. It's still going to go into a dark place, but in certain areas, but it's definitely not going to be as dark as it could be. Talk to the right people. You know, it's a good plug for you boys at Team CP and get a good solid training program and some good solid training advice right now. You know, I think as Kiwis, we love to just get out there and give it a nudge, give something a go, and no, should be right, mate. I'll just I'll train a little bit this weekend. I'll train a little bit of that this next weekend, and you know, you guys more than anyone know that's just not going to help these days. You need some solid training advice and some good on-course experience. There's nothing better, especially in the kayaking. That's quite a good little segue with Bob coming on too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Good job. Excellent, Richie. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Great to have you online finally. We've kicked Glenn out and actually got some proper talent on board tonight, so that's awesome. And all the best for chipping away, getting things organised for 2026. And
appreciate it. Thanks for having us, and thanks to everyone for listening, and thanks for everyone for being part of the Coast. It's a pretty special event. We really appreciate everyone. Cheers, gentlemen.
Cheers.
Can't believe I got to be on with this royalty, so truly honoured.
We'll send you the clip and everything. You know, you can have it on replay.
Oh, I'd like that.
Yeah. Get out of here, Richie. Get out of here, mate. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Mate. Look at that. The great, shall we say, the great Richie Owen. You know, he's right. The Coast to Coast is an absolute team, and a phenomenal team that they are at that too, to be fair.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you've any of you that have been a part of this race at any way, shape or form will have sat at some stage and observed the workings, the complexities, I suppose, to this race, the thousands of people and what has to go on to make it happen. And so it's a huge shout to all of the Coast team that do make that happen. It's a rolling circus like you've never seen.
Yep. So learn as much as you can, and as I say, as Richie mentioned, get in touch if you have got questions. That's what we're here for. It is really interesting. Those people that are just more relaxed, chill out, she'll be right, mate. They're the ones that do battle and last minute. Oh heck, I should have done that. So just get organised now. Like especially if you're coming from overseas, book your stuff now because it does run out. Our support crew that we run, basically we're taking names at the moment, and so get your name into that list and we will look after you. But don't leave it to the last minute because it won't be available down the track. And then from a coaching perspective for us as well, we've got different levels of coaching of how much we can support you. We've only got a handful of those sort of one-on-one type coaching spots available. We can always work with you on A level. So just again, if you're looking at that, we'll just get in touch. And often it doesn't need to be full on from now. It's more, what's my overall plan going to look like? And then maybe we can book you in down the track to get and do a bit more. So yeah, get those things organized now, as Richie mentioned, and that'll make you happier, enjoy it more come race day 2026.
I'm not sure why Richie didn't talk about the moustache that he's going to grow for next year's event.
Okay.
Okay. We'll see.
We'll see. Okay, I like it.
Let's throw another surprise at him that expect to see a good-looking stash in the thing there, Richie. Hold your hats there, Richie. Richie, come back in. Are you going to grow one, mate?
No chance.
Come on, mate.
Well, how can I compete against that filthy thing you've got under your lip there? You know,
look. Competing full stop as a winner, it's hard, I know, but we make room for participants, mate. We always make room for participants.
I'd love to imagine how fast you could have been without that thing, mate, like slowing you down. Like, look at the drag on that.
No, it's actually we're going to really digress. This is aerodynamic. Have you ever seen how a rear diffuser on a race car and the wind comes in and then it comes in and round and out? It actually diffuses the wind, it creates a bit of downforce and disperses that headwind as it's coming towards you. That's why I was so quick.
Watching a little bit too much Formula One.
Right, this time you're out the gate, mate.
I'm out. See you guys.
Yeah, I don't know if you need a more downforce on a straight road than a South Air road. But anyway,
I know,
let's
but
move on.
I did need to break the headwind though. So
Sure, it's okay.
Right,
yeah,
come at me, big fella.
Yeah, okay. So we're going to have a chat to Annabel Morris, as we mentioned before at the top of the show. She was a first timer to the race this year. So let's throw her into the show, and you'll enjoy this one.
Here we are at the finish line with Annabel, and she has got drink in hand. She's got medal on. Pretty happy to be here. 2-day individual, job done. How does it feel to be here?
Feels so good. Can't believe it, did it? It's surreal. It's very surreal.
Yeah, good stuff. So tell us a bit about your weekend. Tell us about how you've gone. What were you nervous about before you actually got underway this weekend?
I was definitely nervous about the kayak, just because it's probably the one thing that I was underprepared for. But the rest was quite exciting. Yesterday was beautiful, loved it, and then today it was actually gorgeous. So
did you have a chance to look around? Because often that doesn't happen very much. You're like, I'm working hard, but you actually took a moment to look up.
Yes, I think I was so nervous that I was like, actually, I need to stop and just run my own race yesterday, and then today I stopped and paddled and just had a nice time. So it was good.
I found when I was at the go past Hut and looked around, I was actually, this is actually. You just get a sense of where you are and what you're doing, and it all feels a little bit better. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, no, completely agree. And just running your own race, because there was a lot of people like running off and then people trying to catch, and so I was very happy that I just ran my own race and was able to just do me. It was good.
So how are you feeling getting out of the paddle?
Very happy that someone could lift me out. But then I was after about a few minutes and it was good to go. And then happy to get my legs moving on the bike.
How was that? How was the bunch ride? How was the group ride?
Today's bunch ride, great. Yesterday's disastrous. But
you've been coming along riding with us, so did that help?
Oh, 100%. 100%. It was so good. Yeah. Couldn't recommend more. It was so
what was it just because you knew what to do? What was the story there?
Yeah, I knew what was to do and what was expected of me, and then I just knew what to watch for with dangers and things and other people's biking, so it was really good.
Did you encourage or help or teach others while you're riding?
Yeah, just like all the calls and signals, and then if someone else wasn't making them, then I was kind of doing it for them and they picked up on them, so it was really good. Yeah, that was good. So thank you very much.
And how did you go running up that finishing chute? It's about looking good at the right moments. How was that?
Yeah, definitely. Just keep going. I just can't stop until I get to the end, so it was good.
How are you going to celebrate?
Just need to go see my family and friends and just enjoy.
Good job.
Well
done. Go and go and bask in your glory.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
How's that, Annabel? How does that make you feel looking back on that sort of 6 weeks later or so, post Coast to Coast?
Yeah, it's still very surreal, and I can't believe that I did that. It was quite funny watching their back. Yeah.
That's fantastic, isn't it? Tell us a little bit about your background. Obviously, by the vibe of that, it sounds like you had a fantastic weekend and you're well prepared and ready to go. But tell us about sort of the whole journey to the Coast to Coast. Why the Coast to Coast? When did you actually get an entry? Because sometimes that doesn't happen straight away either.
Yes, I have been wanting to do Coast to Coast for so long, and I have been waiting to do it with somebody, and thought it would be kind of a really great thing to do. However, that didn't really happen, and so I thought I'd throw my hat in the ring last year, but I didn't get a place until start of August, and so it was a bit of a quick turnaround. There's many other things happening with me, so it was busy, but it was good and pushed through, so it was great.
Yeah, good on you. So 6 or 7 months to prepare, but also it's not like you were cruising around doing lots of biking and running beforehand. What sort of level did you come in to that with, from your perspective?
From my perspective, probably the most unfit that I've ever been. And I just moved back from overseas, and so just had to reset up all routines and just get back into life, really. So it was a great challenge and really got me sorted, which was good.
And do you feel like coming back from overseas, how long were you away for?
I was away for 2 years, but still something that I followed. Like, I loved watching and being a part of, just seeing who else was doing it and their journeys as well. It's cool.
Yeah. So do you feel like, because that's an added bit of let's hit the ground running sort of thing, rather than just sort of going, okay, well, let's get a job and get myself sorted. Like, you were doing this whole Coast to Coast gig as well. Do you feel like that sort of helped you get your feet back on the ground when you're coming back from overseas?
Yeah, absolutely it did. It gave me my own sense of purpose, and it just kept me focused on other things other than like, where am I fitting in? What am I doing? How's everything else going? And it just gave me something to work towards and something that was personal for me. That was my own personal goal, so it was really good.
Good stuff. How doable did you feel like it was for a start? I do actually remember having a chat to you kind of when I think you were still in the consideration phase. I'm not sure if you had actually pushed go on the entry at that stage, had you?
Yes, because it's quite a quick turnaround, and I actually had to hop on the plane to come home in that time, so made it a little bit shorter. But I still was in that, can I actually do this, and do I have enough time to get myself there? Is it a achievable goal? When I was talking to you, and I wasn't sure if it was going to be, but we definitely got there.
I do feel like sometimes when I do talk to people like yourself about, can we do this, it's easy for me to get excited about it. And like, yeah, we got to be good. But a big one thing about that goal setting piece is it achievable? Yes, it is achievable. Is it actually realistic with the time and energy and the finances and resources that you've got to put into it? So reflecting back on it, do you think that was a good decision? Was it right? Did you have enough time, or was it a bit of a push?
I probably didn't compete to the fullest of my ability. But I definitely had the best time. I did way better than I thought I ever would. I hadn't actually bunch ridden before or kayaked, so it was huge learning curves, and I did it all with a smile on my face and just had the best time. So it definitely, I definitely was able to do it, and the 6 months was great. And I probably could have trained harder and put more time into it and things like that. But what I did and my input definitely. The output was just rewarding, so it's good.
It's awesome because I mean, there's always more, isn't there? That's the thing with this, is that no matter how much kayaking you can do, or biking or running, you could always do more, because it's a long way. It's going to take a long time, so it's obviously a balancing act. But it goes back to your goals as well, doesn't it? Just in terms of, okay, well, I just want to go to be able to finish it and finish it well, and know that I can and actually enjoy myself, and finishing with a smile on your face and actually looking good at the same time. That's a few pretty big ticks there.
Thank you. And I just really wanted to know how to finish and have a good time, and also about fueling myself, because I've done some other events and I just had no idea about fuel and those kind of things, and I finished not in the same kind of space, and so I was really happy to get through and under those circumstances as well. Yeah, good stuff. That's fantastic.
So in terms of the, I guess, thinking about the event and others that are sort of lining up for, actually, have you got an entry for next year?
No.
Okay. Sorry, I just got distracted there. Is this a one and done, or am I back at some point?
No, it's not a one and done, but it's, if someone else was putting their hand up, I'd definitely jump on board with their training. Just need some other people in the same realm as me wanting to do it again. Yeah,
good stuff. So what advice would you give others in terms of lining up for this thing? They've got entries. The entries have just come out recently. At this stage, they've got they've got, 11 months, slightly less than that, 10 and a bit months, I guess, to race day. You come in with a lot less than that. But what advice would you give others that are looking to do the coast to coast for the first time?
Do things early, but have a great support crew. That was what got me through. I just was so excited to see my support crew. They were so organized and just so supportive. I had so many people on my corner the whole way through, which was amazing. And that just kept me believing in myself. And then the bike group that you run and the run group was just also great to make connections and just learn everything, which was good.
Nice. Okay. So what you're saying is sort of get together with others that are doing this thing as well. And if you don't know others, try and put yourself out there a little bit. Like there's a Coast to Coast training page Facebook group, which is good. That's pretty busy. And just sort of ask around. And there's always someone around, no matter how big your area is. Or get in touch with us and we can put you back in touch with other people as well. So that was probably the biggest thing for you that you found tricky, because you come into it late. Like often people find a group by going to do the grade 2 certificate, and everyone's kind of at that intro level, whereas you weren't able to do yours till later. So just finding those people were tricky for you.
Yes, yeah, it was. And so it probably put my kayaking on a wee bit of a back foot. But that's okay because I got there in the end. But I was very lucky. I did have made some connections and got on really well with the top sport group, and they looked after me hugely, which was I was very thankful for as well.
Nice. Yeah. Well, what about the gear? Like that's a big part of it too. Like you said, you hadn't bunch ridden before and you hadn't paddled before. So therefore, if you hadn't paddled before, you probably don't have a boat or a PFD or a paddle or all those sort of things. How did you manage all that stuff? Because that can be challenging as well.
Yes, it was very challenging, and I didn't really know what I was looking for and what I'd be competent in. And so it was just looking online, and then one popped up, and he was an ex-coast to coast guy, and he just looked like completely sold it all as one big set.
Did you? Okay.
So, I was very, very lucky, and it just kind of all worked, and he was so lovely, helped me put the kayak racks on and just the whole thing, and so that was great. And then I just had to look elsewhere for a paddle, but it just set me up so I was able to do some of my own things as well. And then I just went down to the Avon also, which was good, had a few lessons just teaching me how to get in and out of a kayak kind of thing.
Yeah, just that basic stuff, eh? And so that's good. So you actually managed to pick up that. What about a bike? Did you have one?
No, I didn't. And I also don't really still. It was actually one of my friends that wasn't using it at all. And so she just let me borrow it. So I just really landed on my feet. Like I said, I had so many people surrounding me that were just in my corner. So very lucky.
Yeah, fantastic. So if you were to do the event again, what would you look to do differently or better next time? Have you got any things that you would sort of try and tighten up on, or that was a bit random, or that didn't work quite so well? Because it sounded like you all in all had a pretty good day out.
Yes, I did. I had a great day out. I think the biggest thing for me, if I was when I am to do it again, is that I just need some people to train with. A lot of my training was solo, and so I think that's why I probably enjoyed it so much on the day because there were so many people around. But I just love to have a bit more of a training group just to push myself a wee bit further and just really get out and have some adventures along the way. So that would be my biggest thing that I'm looking forward to. Obviously get in the kayak a wee bit more and just have a bit more of a play around and just feel a bit more confident in it. That would also be really good.
Yeah. Well, you did very well coming from sort of August to then actually be able to do the event so well. You were coached by Team CP as well. What did you find most beneficial about that?
It was so good. I just knew what I needed to do when. Also just somebody to talk to that was knowledgeable about nutrition and where my body was at. And obviously we all have highs and lows when we're training for something. And I had a bit of a low a few weeks before Coast. And so, I was very lucky. Fiona just picked up the phone and kind of talked me back into, I can actually do it. It's going to be fine. So,
what was happening there? Like, that's like, what were you sort of doubting? Was it injury, or were you just doubting yourself, or was it just a job?
Had a wee crash on my bike, and so I just didn't know if I was going to kind of come back from it as quickly as I was hoping. And I'd just been out, had a sore ankle a couple of weeks before, and so I just felt like I was really behind in all my training. Everything kind of came together on race day as I was told it would, but just those first few weeks out, I was like, oh no, what's going to happen here? But we pushed through, and the body's an amazing thing.
Yep, good stuff. Got you to the start line. Don't worry about the training. Just get yourself to the start line in one piece, and let's go and have a crack and see what happens. So you sound like you did that, and it all fell into place.
Yes, it did, which was very lucky about, and so very thankful. Yeah,
brilliant. Well done. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Annabel. Super cool to be able to catch you at the finish line, and sort of quite fun right now just to relive that little moment.
It's a little bit exciting. Makes you think, what am I going to do next? Am I signing back up?
Yes, it is dangerous that. But well done. Thank you so much for sharing, and thank you so much for joining us, and all the best for your next adventure, and we'll catch you again soon.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Brilliant. Well done. Thanks, Annabel.
I love the reflection that everybody gets after Coast, right? And you sit back and finally have a think about all of those things that you did and didn't do, and the whys and hows. It's great to hear that, Annabel there saying obviously she had some coaching from CP and things, but one of the key things there was what to do when, which was a key little piece there. And sometimes that's almost all it is, isn't it? You have all the tools in the shed, the bike, the kayak, the shoes, but just knowing what to do when and how much is a pretty key piece of it. That drive that a lot of people are just looking for, right?
It's a jigsaw puzzle putting the whole thing together, especially when you're doing it for the first time. So, yeah, if you don't have to think about it, because you can overthink it, you can easily do too much. You can also do too little. So to try and optimize that and manage it around life makes a big difference as well. So, yeah, pretty cool to also share that little video that we took of Annabel at the finish line when she's absolutely fizzing, and then to sort of reflect on that 6 weeks later as well. So, yeah, pretty fun. And it was super cool to cheer Annabel on and be part of her success. It's good.
So winter training, we are about to hit the cyclocross season, just FYI. I just thought I'd get that in there. No, but we're about, we've just had daylight savings, and crikey dickens, what a difference that makes instantly to the evenings. It's already darker. It already has that, we've had a couple of nice warm days here in Canterbury, but already feels that little bit colder, just that little bit earlier in the evening. Pretty hard. This is where the motivation really takes a dip, right?
Yeah, I would have thought you wouldn't have noticed that because you'll be looking forward to training in the morning, I guess. Like, it's so much better. I can train early and the birds are chirping and they're not still asleep at that stage. No?
Yeah. Oh, no, my day job I use my day job as another excuse. But I tell you what I am looking forward to. I am looking forward to, once I renew my Zwift membership, actually, to be fair, I should do that. As I'm thinking that I might actually have to make some appearances on the Wednesday night TeamCP Zwift sessions, mate. I reckon that's probably going to be a bit of a go for me for the winter.
Well, I mean, it's open to everybody. Like, you don't need to be a Team CP athlete. You can just come along for the group Zwift session. So if you do a bit of Zwift, it's fantastic. I mean, the social element, the bit of banter, bit of competitiveness, it doesn't matter what level you are. You can join in based on what your current fitness level is, and you'll still get a chance to be at the front. But if you don't do much pedaling, you will be at the back. So we've got some settings and things to help with that. Bit of an audio app that we can have a bit of chat along the way, and it's good. Like, it's just like, at the end of the day, keeping training really simple. It's just about consistency and turning up. And if you just turn up, sometimes you won't feel like it. You can adjust your levels down to make it easier on that day. And have some fun. This morning, there was probably 20 people, 6 a.m. on a Monday morning. Wednesday evening kicks off this week as well. So now the daylight savings is here, and we'll also do a Friday morning one. And to be honest, for me, that's probably the reason, like, I'm not that a great runner, because I ride my bike so much because I enjoy it, and it's good. So feel free to reach out if you want to learn a little bit more about that and join us on Zwift. Well,
it's currently the 7th of April. Are you saying that this Wednesday is the first?
That's right. This is the first. Yeah, I'm just adding to you right now, actually, Angus. For this week, we'll see where
did I have you in there, sunshine? I'll get my account. It sounds like I've got a job on Wednesday.
Oh my goodness! Wow, that would be. I'd feel really honoured.
And the other thing you can do is find a small room and turn the heater on and pretend you're still in the peak of summer.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We'll just close the door, don't turn the fan on. Heavy days. They're good. Right, let's crack on, shall we? We've got Bob MacLachlan to talk all things kayaking. So sit back, relax, take your notebook out, and see what you can learn from Bob.
Just going to come back in there. I'm not sure if the sound was working there, Rich. Could you hear Bob then or not?
No, have another go.
Let's have another go here, because it's really not much of a podcast if you can't hear the guest, is it? So
I'll let you push the buttons.
Let's see if we get Bob on the line here. Hang on.
Do a lot of work from a grade 2 kayaking, learn to paddle, and upskilling paddlers to make sure that they can not only learn to paddle, but actually have a really good day out as well. So before we get into too much of that, I'd be keen to kind of share a bit of your background. How long you've been paddling for, guiding for, and coaching kayakers?
Gee, well, that might take up the whole interview, Richard. I've been lucky enough. I grew up almost on the coast-to-coast course, so that was my backyard, and growing up in Oxford. And my dad got me into kayaking when I was pretty young. In fact, I was kayaking the Woodstock section when I was 3. So it was a bit of second nature, and I wouldn't say I was a good paddler, and I was never taught. It was just get in a boat and paddle down the river and try and stay upright. And you wanted to stay upright because you had a woolen jersey on and probably not the ideal safety kit, but you did pick up on something. And so I started off then, and then through high school, I was really lucky. I had a teacher that sort of knew we were into kayaking, and he wasn't, but he quite happy to, help us out there. And so got us in the pool, and he read a book on how to roll. And so we learned to roll and did the slalom champs, the South Island slalom champs, which, it's a bit of an event. Not many people do these sports. So it was a really fun thing to go to. And from there, it boosted my kayaking, and I sort of traveled all around the world, whitewater kayaking and that sort of thing. So, yes. And I took it, I kind of kept whitewater kayaking as a bit of my own recreation. So I didn't really start teaching kayaking other than the sea kayaking side of things, but the multi-sport until I settled in Wanaka here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. And that was 2008, is that right? That you've been in Wanaka? And
Yep. And then it was a bit after that, because I had another little business and then sold that, and we were sort of debating what to do. And I was helping a lot of people with kayaking. I thought, well, might as well have a crack at making a business of this. So, and that's how it unfolded. How
good. That's awesome. So how many times have you done the coast to coast? I guess this is from 3 years old upwards. How many times have you done the coast to coast, and tell us about your best result?
To be honest, I don't even know, but it's probably around that 8 times, but it's in all different formats. When I was about 17, I decided I wanted to do the coast to coast, because I had a guy that lived just down the road, Greg Dobson, and he'd won the coast to coast. And it always it was a bit of an enigma what was between the start line and our place, and then how you finish that. And he used to ride into Christchurch on his pushy each day from out that way. And I was like, gee, that's a big ride, So I was always intrigued by it. And then I thought, well, might as well enter. And you had to do a 2-day first back then. So I entered the 2-day, and you'd laugh if you saw my kayak. It was an old, it was called a Ventura, which didn't have a rudder. It was just a plastic boat with no rudder. And I don't even remember where I got that. I think I was doing pretty well after the first day. I might have been in the top 10, and then failed miserably from there on.
You're telling me about this kayaking, this fantastic kayaking, then all of a sudden it's not going so well. But the boat probably didn't help either, by the sounds of it.
No, but it was a great thing to do. It's one of those things that shapes you. I didn't know really anyone to talk to about it, so it was just, you just went and did it. And if you looked at my food source and my hydration, which was the rivers, that wasn't that flash, a couple of ginger nuts, a banana, and a couple of drinks out of the river. That was me. Yeah.
Yes, so it does decrease the admin side of things, doesn't it? Much more relaxed going into it, because you've just got to make sure you don't squash banana, and your support crew don't eat all your ginger nuts.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, so it was the wrong way to do it. That's for sure. If anyone's listening, don't do it that way.
But you have done very well in the longest day. Not long ago, a few years ago, you thought, let's put the toe on the start line of that, and did really well there. Basically, there or thereabouts in the end of the run, but then ripped it up in the paddle.
Yes, it was. I'd always wanted to do the longest day, because I couldn't when I first started, and it was a long time between drinks. But I did it when it's about 10 years ago, I guess, and I was 44, 45, and I was like, right, I'll give it a crack now while I've got the time, and so I put a bit of effort into it. And yeah, like you say, the run, I got a bit of cramp, and I don't know if you've had cramp, anyone out there, but slows you down a little bit. And my run was definitely, which probably going in, I would say would have been a stronger discipline, but it happened that the cycling was the stronger discipline and the kayaking. So and I came into the paddle down quite a bit. In fact, my support crew, which was Kat and a couple of mates, and they were like, geez, they were just hoping that I was going to get through the race. And but I managed to paddle up into second place. Still a long way back from Sam Clark, I'll have you know, but caught up a bit there, and then jumped on the bike. And for the first part of the bike, I really struggled actually, because one of my bars dropped away, and then one of my support crew had added a whole lot of extra electrolytes in my water, so I took one sip and spewed. So I knew I had no drink, and then I just pushed it from there, and I started feeling better about it, and just pushed all the way home. And funnily enough, the guy that was catching on me is the guy that won this year, Alex Hunt. So it was great to see him come through with the win this year.
Yeah, fantastic. Oh, that's brilliant. So we want to talk about kayaking. That's one thing that we're doing this podcast as a sort of start of the, what are we now, 2025, 2026, coast to coast. So people are on their journey. Some people are coming back for another crack. Some people are looking to develop their paddling, and then also people that are just starting from the word go. So in terms of adults, like if we're learning to paddle, it's not often we actually completely become a beginner again and learn a new skill from square one. Do you have any advice for people that are jumping into this for the first time, and sort of how to approach the whole learn to kayak thing?
There's a lot of things about that, and one of them is obviously, if you know anyone else that paddles, it's just talking to people is a real, they'll have a lot of ideas, and it may not all be the right ones, but they'll have a lot of ideas to help you along the way. Yep. But, when you do the ride and you do the bike, the medium that you're running on is stationary, and the medium that you're biking on is a stationary medium. It's you that's moving. And then you jump in the kayak, and if you jump straight on a river, you've got a moving medium, and you're trying to learn how to ride a bike for argument's sake, but you're learning how to paddle, and there's a whole lot going on. So it's really great if you can get into a boat first and get on flat water, where you can develop your balance and develop your get your setup in your boat just right, and then develop a little bit of steering and paddle technique before you even get on that moving medium. So that's a great start.
Yeah. Should you buy a boat before you get to your grade 2 course and just get started, or should you wait for that? What's the best advice there?
Well, it's a hard one, because a lot of people, it can be budget orientated, and they'll end up with a boat. And in the boating world, we say you can easily get overboated where the boat's not stable for you, and then it's very hard to progress. So if you've got access to a boat, then jump in it and see how it is for you. But if it's too tippy, don't go there. And I would suggest that get a boat after a grade 2 course, because you learn a lot in 4 days of paddling, and you can develop a lot, or some people don't develop as well. And there's a boat that's going to be suited for you, depending on how much time you've got available, how much river time you've got available, and what your goal for the race is.
Yeah, nice. When should we start this? We're about 11 months away as we record this at the moment. When should we start?
Oh, you got tons of time. 11 months. You can build a house in a year.
The reason why I say that is because people do only start 3 or 4 months out, or so. So what would you recommend in terms of that?
My feeling on that is that you've got 11 months, and you've got probably about a good 5 months of those that are winter, and you can run in winter and you can bike in winter quite easily, and you can't really learn to kayak in winter. You can do the flat water stuff, but if you can jump in now when the rivers and the lakes and the sea is warmer, and you can develop those skills and be confident in your boat going into the winter, it means you can paddle throughout the winter. But if you leave it till the end of winter, you're already, September realistically, and you're dealing with cold water, and you're dealing with the weather, which typically in spring is a lot worse, and a lot of the rivers are flooded or windy, I'd recommend get going as early as possible with kayaking.
It's a great advice, isn't it? Because when the river's cold and you don't want to fall out because it's awful and cold, and whereas actually I'm too hot, I want to fall out to have a swim, sort of thing. It's such a better place to be mentally, isn't it? If you don't really care about falling out, you probably won't fall out because you just relax more as well.
Yeah, that's correct. And I think the other thing is a lot of people get into coast to coast and get into kayaking because of that. And kayaking can be a discipline that they've just got to get done to get the job done on the day. But then they feel that they're actually enjoying this thing, this kayaking bizzo. It's actually quite fun, and that they enjoy being on the rivers or on the lakes or on the ocean, and that 99% of it's training and 1%'s racing, and you've got to enjoy that training. You got to love kayaking, so you might as well get into it early, and you will love kayaking probably. Not saying that everyone will.
Well, it's about that progression as well, isn't it? If the progression is, as you say, if we're overboated and it's wobbly and it's nervous and it's unstable and we're going to fall out, that's when you're probably not going to enjoy kayaking. But if you make the steps right and say talk to someone like yourself and follow the process, you're probably going to enjoy kayaking down the track.
Yes, I mean, we have clients that ring me up and they'll be like, oh, I'm just crossing this river. What do you reckon of that one for a kayak trip? And I'm like, no, not in a multi-sport boat. And then they'll go, oh, whitewater boat? Shall I go and buy a whitewater boat? So people do. They get a passion for it and they love boating these rivers and seeing things from a different perspective. So, and it's a lot of it, you think of it as the kayaking and the river and all that, and you'll get a relationship with the river, you'll get a relationship with your boat, and it's the relationships outside of that, all the people you paddle with and that you share time with, shuttle with, that's part of kayaking as well.
Yeah, that's right. I've just talked to Brent, who is just lining up for his first coast to coast just before I jumped onto this call with you, actually, and he had a couple of questions. I said, do you anything? I'm going to talk to this guy Bob, and he knows lots about paddling, and he's been there, done that. Any questions that you'd like me to ask? And he said, how much time commitment does it take to go from like a beginner, novice, don't know anything, to sort of being able to be competent? Well, like, is there any way that we could kind of quantify that for someone getting into this?
Yeah, it's interesting. Different people take different times to get to that you have some people that have a fear of water, and so just to get them upside down in a boat and just being happy to be in there and pulling them back up and up, so that's overcoming something. And then other people that they've been surfing and doing stuff for years, and they can just jump in the boat and feel pretty comfortable. They don't have any fear of the water or any fear of falling in and swimming down with their kayak. So those things play a little bit of a part. But I think most people in a 4-day course, most people will get to that level where their rescue skills and their swimming skills and their kayaking skills are up to a level that's pretty close to that grade 2 benchmark. Some people have to do a little more paddling, but I think the paddling itself, it does depend on how much time you've got on a river. Particularly, you can paddle on the flat water. We get a lot of Aussies that they'll come here and they never paddle on a moving water until they get back to the coast to coast. So it's very difficult for them to keep upskilling.
Yeah. So if you don't live close to the Waimak or any river in particular, how do you do that? What should you be doing if you've only got sort of lakes available or the sea available?
I think if you've got people to paddle with, it does help, and you can go out on rougher days on in the harbour or on a lake or something like that, and be within the range of shore. Obviously, a multi-sport boat is you fall out of that and you've got to swim to shore to empty it out. There's no other option really. So that some people will get a surf ski and try on a surf ski so that they can get that balance and get that paddle skills and the leg drive and all that going, so that they have a connection with the boat, which then helps propel them forward, and at least they've got that going really well. And then just try and get to the river a couple of times, or a river. It's definitely worthwhile, because that's what catches people out on the Waimak.
Yeah, so it's a matter of circling on the family calendar that these are the 3 dates I'm going to travel. It might be a bit of distance, but I'm actually going to make an effort to get to some river, to actually play on that moving water and have some time there, just to build that confidence and continue to build those skills.
Yes, I definitely recommend getting on a river, because the river's the artery that you're traveling on, and you can, the river's going where you want to go. It's effectively going from point A to point B, and it's going at a certain speed, and you want to go faster than that river. But to do that, you want to stay in the fastest water, and that's going to give you the best time. And the less time you spend in that fast water or getting caught by different currents, the more effective and the more efficient you're going to be. Even in a slow boat, you see in a sort of beginner boat, a lot of people are quite quick if they can just stay in that moving water.
So it's a matter of, it's not just about the skills as such, it's also about the knowing what the water currents and there to be able to pick stuff and see stuff, isn't it?
Yes.
As you learn that, more time you spend there, the more you learn.
Yes, the river's a great thing, and you can fall in love with it because it just is there to help you out all the way. But if you try and fight the river, it's going to win those battles every time. So the more time on the water, the more skilled you are. And some of those currents, it's only, there's only 20 centimeters between the good current and the not good current. And if you're in that right place, it's easy. And if you got your nose kicked the other way, then it all of a sudden gets quite difficult. So to spend that time, and then you can read that water, and then you also know what it's going to do to your boat, and therefore you can counteract that by adjusting, with your rudder or your edging or something to make yourself a lot more stable and a lot more confident.
Yeah, nice. What about from I'm training for the coast to coast, I'm training to improve my paddling. Where do you sort of factor from a gym perspective versus actual paddling? Is that important, or should we just spend all our time paddling?
No, gym can definitely help, especially if you're a person that has more of a sedentary job. You might spend a lot of time indoors. Then paddling's quite a foreign muscle group. It's we don't use it a lot, and a lot of the initial muscles you use in paddling are just those stabilization muscles. So that's really foreign to anyone, because we very rarely sit down on something that's wobbling all over the show. So to get those first, you can really only get that in a boat, and then that'll kind of, you'll just feel more and more comfortable quite quickly, especially on flat water on a lake, and then you'll have to move on to windy conditions as well. Paddling in the wind, particularly if you've got a wing blade, your right side can catch the wind a lot more. Because when you're paddling on your left, obviously that cup is right open to the wind. So you just learn to paddle in wind. It gets a lot of people. And gym work is really good if you can mix it up. But it does all depend on how much time you've got. Obviously, coast to coast, you've got 3 disciplines you've got to train for, and how much time you've got to paddle, and then what's going to be most beneficial for you, your individual person. Yeah, and because the other thing is, a gym's great if you don't have access to the water that's right at your door. If you've got to drive half an hour, you're only going to do it, once or twice a week probably. So you've got to use gym. Yep.
It's a balancing act, the juggling. It's a jigsaw puzzle. We're trying to figure this out. Trying to think about how do I improve the most with the least possible effort is part of the picture, isn't it?
Yes.
And gym's part of that as well. What about for those that maybe done the coast or have done a bunch of paddling before, thinking paddle technique? We've talked a little bit about rivers and things like that, but what about from a paddle technique perspective? What's maybe 1 or 2 things that you see when you're out on the river that people should focus on to try and improve their paddle technique to help them to be more efficient and stronger in the boat?
Yes, I would say predominantly the thing we notice the most would be when multi-sporters typically have a very slow stroke rate. If they just come up just paddling just generally in their backyard having a paddle. So that is to increase that stroke rate, but to do that, to work on that front part of the stroke, to get the catch in the water, and before you engage your legs and your lats, so before engaging your torsional power that you've got pent up from your last stroke, you've pulled, say, your left side and you've rotated forward with your right shoulder, get your blade in before you engage that leg and start paddling into the water. So I would work on getting your blade in and then paddling, and then I would also work on that exit so that your front hand can drop straight down in the water again when you finish, rather than having to come back across the whole top of your boat, because that's what creates you missing that catch on the next stroke.
Nice. That last 15 seconds. No, that's awesome. I think people might just need to push rewind 15 seconds and replay that again for a few times to try and figure out what exactly you said. But that's fantastic. I think that's that power down stuff, isn't it? Like, let's get the blade fully in the water, and then let's try and rip that blade and really try and get some power down and use those big muscles in your legs and your torso to try and create that force. It's not an arm sport, is it?
It's not an arm sport, but some people can do very well with their arms, but only for a very short time. So I would say it's like running anything. Efficiency comes with technique, and technique comes with a lot of time. So do technique drills at least once a week, and that will help you. And then if you're doing hard efforts, make sure your technique stays good over going really hard. Yep.
Yeah, that's great advice. So you're based in Wanaka, Bob. Yep. And do a bunch of grade 2 courses. You also get up and do some guiding on the Waimak as well. But Wanaka is special in terms of actually you can paddle in most weather conditions, can't you? And river conditions don't affect you so much either.
We're very fortunate with the weather down here. It's predominantly sunny, which is one great thing. It's a lot easier to paddle in the sun. But also we have a number of different rivers, and we have a number of different flows on different rivers. So we've never had to cancel down here. We can always run a course, which is great, because we do get frustrated sometimes. You go up to the Waimak and you're like, cancel, wind or high water So we feel really lucky. And the other thing we're really fortunate with, the water's very clean and clear all the time. Mm-hmm. So you're always paddling on clean water, which helps with river reading. You can see the rocks, you can see what creates the boils or the holes or the lateral waves and all that sort of thing. So very easy to learn.
Yeah, and that's because you're paddling mainly on the Clutha, and then the lake, it's fed from Lake Wanaka, so it's not just flooding down from the mountains and then straight into the Waimak. Hence the ability to be clear, and then also the river levels aren't going up and down heaps all over the show.
Yeah, that's right. It's very protected from rainfall, because the lake's got to come up a lot for the river to come up. So you get plenty of warning, and then usually you can go and use a different river that's already dropped back down again. So we're pretty fortunate.
Brilliant, Bob. Hey, thank you so much for spending the time to catch up. And if people want to know more, obviously your details are on the Coast to Coast website. So obviously to run grade 2 courses and paddle technique and all that good stuff as well. So any last comments or things to share before we head away?
Well, thanks to you and thanks to the listeners. But I also would say, don't be afraid. Like, the grade 2 is a level where you can go out with other people and feel confident paddling a river. But there's so much to learn, and keep on pushing, your abilities and your skills. And paddling upriver is a great way to do that. So sometimes, I'm guilty here. I'm training for a big race at the moment, and I spend a lot of time paddling up a river. Yeah, it's great for your skill set. But keep upskilling. I've got a lot to learn yet, so I'll keep going.
Well done, Bob. Hey, thank you so much for joining us, and all the best for the next adventure.
Thank you. Awesome.
Well done.
We'll see you later.
See ya.
I think Bob MacLachlan's probably forgotten more about kayaking than what some of us will ever know.
He's still got more to learn. How good.
He's still got more to learn.
Love when he talked about your traveling down an artery. The thing you're traveling on is traveling as well as you're trying to make decisions about where to go. I love the way he described that. That was pretty impressive.
There was a lot of talk about Jim there, and to be fair, I only like Jim when he's mowing my lawns.
Well, we've come a long way on this podcast from you sort of feeling pretty cock-a-hoot about the event that's been gone, me being bumped from the team, through to you actually signing up for some training. It's on Wednesday, and you've already got the invite. So it's
we've covered a lot, haven't we?
We've covered a lot of grounds. Yeah, that's right. I feel like we probably should pull out, because it's getting dangerous territory if we keep all this honesty going on.
Look, it is, but what a cracker of a show to start the new season 7, like we say. Of the Kathmandu Coast to Coast. Again, I want to thank the Kathmandu Coast to Coast for having us back yet again. once can be a mistake, twice is a coincidence, 3 times almost a habit. I don't know what happens when you get to season 7, but we're almost becoming the 2 old men and the Muppets sitting up in there making comment now.
Boo, boo, get them off. It was horrible.
Again, I cannot thank the listeners and the Coast to Coast for having us back, allowing us to be a part of hopefully some new journeys. That's really important to us, is to hopefully be a part of some first timers and some new journeys, and then again to the seasoned athletes that continue to come back and continue to support this event, continue to provide good banter. Of course, for me, to Team CP for having me as part of this dynamic duo, Richie. It's good, isn't it? I'm almost hyped every time we do one of these Coast to Coast podcasts. All of a sudden, I start getting G'd up.
It's dangerous. That's really dangerous. And a great big thank you to Richie Owen, Annabel Morris, and Bob MacLachlan for joining us tonight as well and sharing their insights, which does give a nice different angle on these podcasts. And they will keep changing because everybody has different things to offer. So, well done. Thank you, Angus. Thanks for the enthusiasm. And until next time, keep up the training and being out and about.
Because I actually have no idea until about the week before you tell me, or a couple of days before. When are we back? Like, this is episode 1.
Well, this is really like I guess let us know if you want to hear more. Basically, I think the plan was from here. In the last few years, we've had a spring podcast. Basically, this is kind of setting us up for winter. Let's get underway, and then when things starting to get busy, springtime is when once we want to start trying to get a bit specific to Coast. So generally that's when you start to hear from us again. But if you're out there and you're like, oh, probably quite keen for another bit of an update, feel free to reach out. We'll see what we can do.
Well, as a cyclist, I always look forward to the spring classics, mate. And that'll be what they'll be when we get to that point, the spring classics. Everybody, thank you very much for listening to another Kathmandu Coast to Coast podcast. Richard, thanks, mate. It's been great to see you again. To all our guests to Kathmandu, we'll see you at the next one.